The name's Razor, but you can call me Razor. I'll be your host on this mildly psychedelic yet completely informative and immersive journey through the Badmad Robots ecosystem. A quick note to you, my attentive viewer. Most of the commentary in this video supports the content on the slides and vice versa. If I was going to read the slides to you, I would have just given you a PDF. Subtitles herein reference the spoken word.
I have a feeling it's really gonna be a first-person shooter. I feel like with the success of CS growing up, with the success of Valorant, we just need a really good first-person shooter around that style. And I truly think that it'll just really just take off, because with that game, then you'll be able to really trade your in-game assets.
Screenshot.
Now you are probably wondering. We believe blockchain gaming is the future, so eventually there will just be gaming. But for now, we're going to call them Web2 and Web3 for the purpose of differentiating between the two models. To put it simply, Web3 gaming gives more power to the players by supporting asset ownership. So any in-game items that users buy or create with the crafting platform can be sold. Players truly own their assets, which they spent their time, money, and energy on acquiring. Blockchain-based ecosystems are more transparent than traditional models, and so it's possible to know how funds get distributed throughout the ecosystem, leading to a more balanced distribution benefiting players and contributors. And of course, different blockchain gaming models have different forms of earnings. I can tell you, BADMADROBOTS is not a play-to-earn grinding game. It is a skill-based competitive game, but there are ways to earn, and we'll cover later in the video. Here we can see that most of the highest valued market cap gaming studios are either moving in the direction of blockchain gaming or they've already begun building with blockchain technology. It seems to be that really gaming is on the wave of change and it's riding into the world of blockchain, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop that from happening. In addition to these studios, there are numerous pro players and esports teams who've begun advocating for blockchain technology and asset ownership.
Hey, so what is the growth potential?
The Web3 gaming market cap has tremendous room for growth, especially considering that the industry is still in its early stages. The blockchain technology is now at a place where its use case can be realized, and it's as if the space is waiting for the first game to level up to the tech and break into the mainstream. When that happens, and we believe it is inevitable, we believe a significant portion of the traditional gaming market share will begin migrating to the Web3 gaming sphere. Our thesis resembles that of the BlackBerry and the smartphone. When technology finds a way to express itself through a medium that is superior and more beneficial to its users, the new medium gets adopted, and the living entity that is technology will not turn back to its lesser evolved state of being. And so let's look at some of these first-person shooter tournament game earnings. If a Web3 game like BADMADROBOTS is comparable with these games in terms of playability and mechanics, logic tells us it has a good chance of generating comparable revenue. The good news about BADMADROBOTS is that a significant portion of revenue flows back to the players who keep the ecosystem alive through tournament rewards, and crafters who keep the gaming environment ever-changing and fresh through new assets, characters, maps, and game modes. 20% of total revenue goes back to the players for the tournament prize pools, and 20% of total revenue goes back to the crafters in the form of revenue share.
Hey, so how does BADMADROBOTS generate revenue?
Good question. I thought you'd never ask. Here's a diagram of the BADMADROBOTS economy and revenue stream. We'll cover each point of inflow in detail, but for now I'll just emphasize that both fiat and metal will be used to make purchases. Which one is used will depend on the platform being used. On traditional platforms like Steam, all in-game purchases will be made using fiat. The player will use a credit card. On the back end, metal will then get bought and distributed appropriately. We're speculating that a system of dynamic decision-making regarding conversion and distribution will be used, and that will be dependent upon the current market conditions at the time. Digital collectibles can be acquired through blueprints gained through participating in the ecosystem, playing the game, completing tasks, etc. They can also be acquired through using resources, which can be gained through playing, tasks, season passes, or even bought. The more rare the resources, the more rare the asset that can be crafted, leading to a more valuable asset. Digital collectibles in the BADMADROBOTS ecosystem span beyond just weapon skins and characters, but include emotes, sound effects, animations, and more. If the player wishes to sell his or her digital collectible, they can convert it to an NFT and sell it on the marketplace. Season passes are seasonal and will include some level of access to amateur esports tournaments. Season passes also come with a variety of extras such as digital collectibles and resources. The UGC crafting aspect of the BMR ecosystem from a revenue generation point of view and from a gaming environment and mode point of view cannot be overlooked. Here's where the resources will be put to use and the people with creative crafting abilities can create assets that will be used in-game and will help keep the gaming environment ever changing. By default, the game has two modes, Control Point and Team Deathmatch. But there will be an AI-assisted workshop to help creators create new unique game modes, further contributing to the growth of the ecosystem. And there will be contests held where crafters can get their creations put in the primary store marketplace, and they will qualify to get royalties, 20% revenue share. Imagine your asset being in a primary marketplace in front of millions of players. This not only can be very lucrative for the crafters, but it keeps the game environment ever expanding. Helping to propel this technology, BADMADROBOTS was accepted into the NVIDIA Inception program, which will allow the teams and crafters to take advantage of cutting-edge technologies for game development, crafting, and more. This really gets my metal rusting, if you know what I mean. The new and innovative ways that UGC crafting in Web3 can be used might very well be groundbreaking. Teams and players can see forms of transparent revenue from crafting which were simply not possible in the traditional gaming world. And that's not to mention the everyday crafter like you and I can also benefit from this greatly. XP boosters can be bought or acquired in-game, and they help players level up faster, generate more resources, and progress within the ecosystem. They do not affect gameplay, as the game is purely a skill-based competitive game. Here's what we think of as one of the most exciting aspects of the BADMADROBOTS gaming ecosystem. Esports. Since this section is dedicated to revenue generation details, we'll just say that tournaments can generate revenue from season pass purchases, entry passes can be bought, and there will potentially sometimes be NFT integration into some tournament entries. Details on this will be determined. And as I mentioned earlier, BADMADROBOTS is not a play-to-earn game in the commonly known sense. But if you have the guts to fight with the disheveled and dysfunctional robots on the chaotic streets of Los Machines, then you might find yourself earning some hefty prizes.
The game must be good by Razor. If the game is good, if the game is fun, if the game has good mechanics, players will play it. When many players have played traditional games, the games became successful. BADMADROBOTS is no different, except that it compensates more fairly player inputs of time, money, and energy.
Hey yo, so what is their strategy to onboard these traditional gamers? Breaking news! BADMADROBOTS represents a game and player-first economy, placing the mission of good game creation in the #1 spot on the list of priorities. Immutable X is hell-bent on bridging the gap and making the Web3 gaming process as seamless as possible. And by my robot god, they're going to do it. And BADMADROBOTS will be working alongside them as an exclusive title. Steam is the largest traditional PC gaming platform in the world with more than 20 million active users. We envision Steam being an influential tool for onboarding traditional gamers into the BADMADROBOTS ecosystem. They will have no indication on Steam that BADMADROBOTS is a Web3 game. The in-game assets acquired and purchased on Steam will not be Web3 assets. Only if the user wants to convert their asset to an NFT to trade it, then they can do so on the BADMADROBOTS conversion site. So, BADMADROBOTS is essentially a Web 2 game that has a Web 3 economic infrastructure. Here's a glance into the co-founders of Acid Rainbow Studio, who are the publishers of BADMADROBOTS. We'll let you be the judge on what type of acid that actually is. Below them, you can find the various teams helping to build the game, who have worked on world-recognizable and critically acclaimed traditional games, as well as Web3 games. For the tokenomics of Metal, there are 2.75 billion tokens, with a great portion, 1.2 billion, locked in treasury and 500 million reserved for liquidity. There are currently around 720 million circulating. All pre-sale rounds have already been unlocked and distributed. As for buying the Metal token, it's available on the Polygon network at the moment and will soon be available on Immutable's mainnet. We speculate it'll be available on Ethereum mainnet after the Immutable token launch. It's also available on Gate.io, where the ticker is MetalDR. We speculate it'll hit another exchange sometime after the game's beta release. And now for a quick, but not all-inclusive, recap. Gaming as an industry is evolving, but there is a gap between its current state of evolution and its next step. In order for Web3 gaming to capture the traditional Web2 gamers' attention, there needs to be a Web3 game that prioritizes gameplay and player wants and needs. BADMADROBOTS is a 6 vs 6 team-based, skill-based, competitive first-person shooter optimized for esports. They are building with a gameplay comes first philosophy. If the game is good, the players will play it. The BADMADROBOTS economy accommodates traditional players on platforms like Steam and Web3 players on networks like Immutable X, Elixir, WeMix, and Ultra. Steam players don't need to do anything crypto-related to play the game. They can simply play the game from their Steam launcher. If they want to make purchases, they can do so with their credit cards, and Metal will be bought proportionally on the back end and distributed according to the economy's design. There are multiple points of revenue generation. All are dependent on the game being a good quality game. We are excited to see how the NVIDIA AI-assisted UGC technology shines in the gaming sector and how crafters make use of it. Upon launch of the game, the ways to earn will be win esports tournaments if you and your team are good enough to survive the chaotic streets, or craft in-game assets and trade them, or qualify them for the primary marketplace for revenue share if you are crafty enough. The BADMADROBOTS team is recruiting pro esports teams. 12 have already signed to the BADMADROBOTS Pro League. In addition, there will be an amateur to pro league bridge for aspiring pro gamers.
Hold on to your hinges, we're almost there. An opportunity to pose has arisen.
And I'd like to give a special shout out to the BADMADROBOTS community, who is full of fierce and fighting players and investors waiting to meet you in Los Machines. Come join them on X, Discord, and Telegram. And to you, my thoughtful viewer and attentive listener, I must say this time with you has been well spent. I hope you've been transformed. And if I'm to be honest, I'm more than eager to meet you on the battlefield and squad up or battle it out. For in the land of dysfunctional robots, only one thing will matter in the end. Victory. Because it is in the end that there will only be gaming. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have business to attend to. Razor, over